Give me 1 second. All right, guys. Welcome to today's next community and development update. We have a very big special report today from the results of the Amsterdam conference, and we have some of the members who attended there, and we'll be updating the entire community about what's going on. First of all, just some quick housekeeping here. If you are watching us on the YouTube live stream, if you can do me a big favor and leave a comment in the comment section to let us know that you can hear us, or if I need to adjust the microphone or anything, that would be greatly appreciated. I know that there's a delay in the broadcast there. Also, the folks that are on this Google Hangout, if you are not speaking, please mute your microphone until you speak. And we got a lot to cover today, so let's go ahead and get started. I'll start off with Bass first, since he was the main one of the main key players there at the Bitcoin conference in Amsterdam. You want to go ahead and get started, Bass? Oh, but let me introduce everyone that's here on the Google Hangout real quick. Starting on your left right there is Data. He handles the infrastructure for NXT. And then we have Guy Forks, who just disappeared on us, but he's here for the adjust the microphone or anything. That would be greatly appreciated. Someone, can y'all make sure you mute your mic? Okay, thanks. And then Guy Forks, you know, he's writing a book on alternative currencies, and in one of the chapters there, he's promoting NXT. And then we have Mark DeMesso, who just joined us also. And then we have Mario. He doesn't have a webcam or mic, but he's here to join us again. And then we have Bass and David and myself. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to Bass so that he can update us with what happened and how him and his team were able to skyrocket the price of NXT up nearly 100% in just a few days. I'm excited to hear about this, Bass. So go ahead.
We were excited ourselves too. We were actually, well, to explain to people who don't know, NXT was represented at the Bitcoin 2014 conference in Amsterdam this weekend.
Okay, and what makes this conference so unique out of all the conferences that goes on every month or every year?
Yeah, Bitcoin 2014 is directly organized by the Bitcoin Foundation. Which means that people from all over the world, industries, legislators, governments, find this the go-to place, and it turned out to be that way. So everybody who's basically in the front ranks of cryptocurrency, and specifically Bitcoin in this case, was there. All the people will know were like Gavin Anderson. He did a speech there. Lots of panels. Basically, it's the biggest Bitcoin event of the year. Okay. And by extension, cryptocurrency events, because lots of the things that touch Bitcoin touch us all who are working in the cryptocurrency scene.
Okay, and who were the representatives from the NXT community that was working the booth there and interacting with everyone there at the conference besides yourself?
We had a nice mix. We had Data, who is here on the chat too. He's one of our technical developers. We had Chancellor Ian, who is part of the infrastructure committee. We had, he's called Evil Dave, but it's just Dave, basically, not evil at all. He's also on the infrastructure committee, and he also organized basically everything with the Bitcoin Foundation. He even was responsible of all the volunteers on the conference itself, so that was very nice. And we had Berserk, who's called Max in real life, and who's from Germany, who basically was support for the whole conference. And during the conference, we were We were joined by Daniel Mroz. If you Google him, you'll find out immediately who he is. Who's also turns out to be a next, and he was also using his contact within the Bitcoin community to help us out. So there were 6 people, basically spread over marketing people, sales people in real life, and technical people, which was a very good mix because we could hand off different assignments to each other.
Okay, from the pictures that you sent us and posted of the booth, the next booth at the conference, it seemed pretty busy all the time. How was it in relation to the other altcoins that were represented there?
First, there weren't that many altcoins. There was a booth for Ripple Labs. They had a booth. Mastercoin was represented, and I think there was one speaker, only a speaker for Ethereum. But normal and Litecoin was also represented in the person of Charlie Lee, basically. But for the rest, there weren't that many other coins. But busyness. Well, we got a nice leg up by Patrick Byrne from Overstock during his keynote speech. He mentioned Next in his keynote speech as one of the innovative platforms that he was really interested in. And that led from basically after he stopped speaking to a huge wave of people coming to our booth to find out who we actually were. During the conference, I think we had at least at every moment an average of 3 people in front of the booth.
Okay.
And that's a lot.
Did Patrick Byrne himself come over to the next booth to speak with you or Data or anyone else?
He came on Friday night actually after build-up. We were setting up the booth. I wasn't there myself, but he came to us and had a half-an-hour conversation with Evil Dave.
Okay. All right. And what do you think helped with the spike in price for Next? Was it because you guys did a good job in explaining Next to everyone, and there was more new users and adopters? What happened there?
I think it's a combination of 2 things. We were surprised. That's the first that we were taking very seriously. We didn't get. If you normally look on forums and broader community, Next is taken with a pinch of salt. We noticed nothing of that. We only got very interested people, and we were lucky that the asset exchange was operational. So we were able to show people what Next can do. That's different from basically what the people were seeing there, what's different from Bitcoin. So they could see that we showed them that it was basically a complete system that they could take advantage of. And people were really, really interested in seeing it work. It is also possible that people are really buying in. We had some contact with a few venture capitalists who came by, and they were really interested in just investing in it as a new technology. So
I also want to take a moment because you mentioned that you guys were able to demo the asset to demo the asset exchange for everyone.
Yeah.
I would like to say thanks to Jean-Luc, for our lead developer, for doing a good job, and to Wesley for doing a great job on the client and having it out there on time, so that we can demo the asset exchange flawlessly like that at the conference. Was there any glitches as you guys were doing the demo for the asset exchange?
The only glitches that there were was that the network there was constantly overloaded because so many people came there who have actually had so much needed so much access to the network. But no, one of the big selling points, and I know this from my own sales experience, is that it was so easy to use. We had a few accounts set up, and we could just show, this is how it works, this is the way you issue an asset, then you can do this, then you could do that. And it's so intuitive, and people just looked at it, found it beautiful, by the way, loved the way it looked, and also were impressed with the ease of use, which certainly made our jobs a lot more easy.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to that, Data, from your experience there, on top of what Bas has just shared with us?
Here we go. Yeah, in general, the attitude towards Next was extremely enthusiastic. We've been basically talking non-stop all those 3 days. First day were 3 hours, and the other 2 days were basically almost until we were thrown out of the venue there. So the interest was very, very sincere. I can only say. Putting on top of what Bas has also already said, I have been talking with 2 people from large banks which are interested in cryptocurrencies and also in the asset exchange in particular. These are people from the level of research departments and product managers and such guys. And this, of course, is also turning out to be a very promising perspective to follow up on.
Now, from y'all's experience, right? Did you guys notice that when the people came over to the Next booth, were they mainly new users and adopters, or were they people that have heard about Next already and they were coming by to say hello and get the latest updates, or were these just brand new people to the Next platform completely?
Mostly it were new people, I had the impression, but most of them somehow appear to already have heard about Next.
From I spoke to quite a few people who were already into Next since December and were just holding. A few people actually said I used to participate in your huge, ridiculous thread, but then I dropped out. So tell me what's happening.
Okay.
So it's a mix. It's a mix.
Okay, and could you talk a little bit? Could you guys talk about the contacts that you guys made? And I just want to say, could you talk about the ones that you guys know that are in the works? We're not talking about like speculation or wishful thinking of what can happen, but the people that you've connected with, the exchanges, the businesses, the VCs that you've been in contact with, that have actually there's some solid commitment or there's potential commitment to help promote the Next platform. Could you guys talk about that?
Well, there's one interesting aspect, for example, in respect to that, and as it turns out that most of the exchanges which are a little bit reluctant to list Next, the crypto exchanges, are so only because they are a bit scared and afraid and lazy to implement the Next API because they only know the Bitcoin API. So they would be more than happy and willing to list Next on their exchanges if we could provide them with a bridge, so that they would only need to address one API only or one API format only, and that's the Bitcoin format, which Next is different from. So we are working on something that we can address that issue, and then probably Next will be listed on a number of exchanges relatively quickly.
Okay, so let me just make sure I understood you correctly, because I'm sure that there's a lot of non-technical people out there listening to this besides myself, Data. So what you're saying is that most of the altcoins, since they are a derivative of Bitcoin, it's a lot easier for the exchanges to put the altcoin on their exchange, but because Next is a completely new code, original source code, they don't have the connection that allows them to place Next on their exchanges. So someone or somebody or a group of people in the Next development community has to create that bridge for them so that they can connect. Is that what it is?
Exactly.
And who will be doing that, or who is responsible for doing that, or who knows how to do that? Is it you and the other people on the technical committee and the infrastructure committee?
I am currently looking into it. It may be easy, it may be a little bit tricky. We have to find out.
All right. Okay. And could you talk about a time frame of how long that takes? I know I'm not trying to put pressure on you to get that done, but how long does that take, or the viewers so they can get an idea of is that something that's easily done in a week, a month, or
I cannot give any numbers on that.
okay.
Very,
Okay.
very cautious.
Okay. All right. Better safe than sorry. Okay. But it is in the works with you and the other people.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, what else did you guys notice? What about from the VCs and from other people that were there, from other businesses and exchanges?
I'm relatively low to disclose names at this point because a lot of this is really fresh. We just started following up on all these contacts, but I can say that we're in contact with quite a few. I think three direct fiat exchanges. So it will be possible, and these are basically have already said yes, and we're now implementing. So it's at that stage, but that would mean next we'll have quite some channels to go outside of the Bitcoin realm. We're now only able to exchange for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is basically the go-to crypto. But we would have a direct exchange to normal fiat money. This is also a very good step towards acceptance by merchants because they just want to pay the bill. They have no problems with accepting cryptocurrency, but they do have a problem with having to do a lot of work to pay their employees, for instance. So this is in the works. Also, a few big exchanges are in the works. Venture capitalists, we were approached by a few who basically very directly said, I want to invest this amount. Can you bring me into contact with someone who I can do this with? We're working on that too.
When you said that they were interested in these amounts, are you talking about like 1,000 NEX or like $1,000 worth of US dollars worth of NEX, 100,000?
No, one of the ones who basically we're talking about people who say we want to spend $250,000.
Okay. Now, was that something that sounded serious, or you're not just saying that just to?
No, I am actually following up on these people, so I'm in contact with them. But of course, they want to know if everything's legit. They want to know where to invest it. So I'm keeping that I'm doing that really carefully. But I am basically in charge of the contact with the venture capitalists. And
okay,
getting them in with the contacts that they need to have.
Is it safe to say that a large transaction like that will have to be done off exchange just so that it doesn't manipulate the price?
That is a possibility because if you want to spend 250,000, probably you'll buy a whole exchange entity for all the sell orders that are in there, and that would manipulate the price. So yes, that's a concern, definitely.
Speaking of the quantity of NEX that those people are interested in, Peter Farla on the YouTube live stream, he has a question. He said that did any of the people complain when they come to the booth? Did you guys hear anyone complain about the unfair distribution of NEX or about the stakeholders, mentioning the stakeholder issues or anything like that?
No.
Okay. That's what I thought. I think that the people that are serious about NEX, I don't think that they even question anything like that because, I mean, if you miss an opportunity, you miss an opportunity. I mean, I always tell people this, that I missed out on Bitcoin when it first came out. I missed out on Litecoin when it came out. I missed out on Yahoo, Google, Amazon, a bunch of things. So I don't sit there and complain about it. So
What is interesting in that, that's relevant to that, basically, it's about how proof of stake works actually, and it is interesting. I had not that long, but I had a talk with Manny Rosenfeld, who's basically one of the people who invented proof of stake, because I wanted just to see how he felt about it. So we had a nice chat about that, and we're going to follow up on that too. It's the distribution of Next is also a technical side, not just an economical side.
Okay, now you guys in private, I know that you mentioned that you guys had dozens of people that you guys established connections and contact with, and we know that in order to promote Next, it needs to become commercial and it becomes more businesses need to use it. So I know that you guys established connections with a lot of businesses and stuff. Who is responsible for following up on those contacts and following through with it? Because we know that you might meet someone at a conference, but if you don't follow through with it, nothing ever happens. So how did you guys plan on following through with it, and who's responsible, and how did you guys divide up who's responsible for contacting who?
After the meeting on Monday, we sat around in a group chat and basically pooled all our resources, because we didn't. Sometimes you just didn't know what the other people had done. There was no time for that, and we divided it between the people who were most competent for the task. So, for instance, Data is following up with developer questions. Chancellor is also following up with some developers' questions. I'm following up with a few, basically with the venture capitalists and some press. Evil Day is following up with most of the exchanges. So we defined areas of competence and pooled all those things, because for instance, if Dave now is in contact and figures out how to work with the exchanges, this information is also relevant to all the other exchanges. So it would be inefficient to hand those things to other people. We are also in contact with other people within the community, which we asked to take some time. For instance, John Manglaviti from Cointropolis, who was on the talk last week, he's also taking a few of these contacts because he already was in contact with these people. It's basically like that. We try to do it in a way that we make certain that these contacts feel taken seriously and aren't contacted directly by everyone. That is an important thing. But that's basically the system we have. We divided the tasks. Everybody who spoke to in person, we approach in person as much as possible.
Now, I know that you guys established like several dozen contacts with different businesses, VCs, exchanges, and things like that. Just so that the other people that are out there representing Next at conferences, so they can learn from your experience, what would you say is the most important factor at the conference? Your ability to connect with people, or your technical skills, or what was the most critical factor that someone needs to promote Next at these conferences? Because this coming year we have a lot of people, including myself, that's going out there to help promote the Next platform. Well, what do you what can you share with us, you and Data, to help us promote Next at the future conferences?
One of the most important things, I think, and bear in mind that we had a very balanced team, so that was really lucky, is don't pretend to be anything else that you are. I am not technical enough to answer technical questions, so I've always played them off to either Data or Chancellor. Be honest. Don't invent a story because you're afraid to lose a contact. Say, I'll have some of these people contact you. That's very important. It is a plus if you can talk easily to people. That's true. But everybody has his different style. So basically as simple as that. People make it easy too. If they're interested in you, we didn't really have to make a hard sell there. That was also an advantage we had. People came to us, and that's heaven for someone who wants to sell. But be honest and know what you can't and cannot do would be one of the most important things I'd say. And have have backup. Have a backup. We had a backup all to the forum all through the conference if we needed it.
And is there anything that you can add to that data? Or
Yeah, actually, I learned a lot from Chancellor and from Bas and also from Dave because I was more expecting mostly very arcane technical questions, but there were only relatively few of those, and the really tough ones were too tough for me. So we had to go to the backup then really and post the questions in the forum in the evening, and then get back to the people the next day, which is also the right thing to do, to tell them I cannot answer this question right now, I will get back to you. And then find them next day and answer them their question, which is really the most professional thing to do.
okay.
One last thing on that I just remembered is also people were only interested in how can I use this. Not most, and like David said, most of the questions were not technical. The questions were about what does next mean to me.
And that's from a marketing perspective and a sales perspective. That's what I've always preached about Next and any altcoin or even Bitcoin is that the person there's more people that just want to know what's in it for me versus how it works in the background. Most people don't care. Like when I pick up my Samsung phone or anything, I don't care how it works on the inside. I just need to know how it can serve me, and that's it. So, all right. Anything else that the community needs to know or be updated with from the conference?
I would think one thing was really interesting with this, that's the last thing with the conference, and it surprised me, but I was also very happy with it. There was a lot of official attention at this conference. There were a lot of legal people, government people, bank people, and they are interested in crypto, really. Not just as there's a lot of talk everywhere about people wanting to shut things down. They also definitely see that this is something that's here to stay, and especially the legal part will be interesting, I think, for the next community, because we have an asset exchange, and that will mean that doesn't mean legislation, because everybody can choose to do anything on it. We're just providing infrastructure, but it does mean that if you don't do your homework, then you could have, in certain countries, you could have trouble. And people are trying this out. Are just trying, what can we do with this? And one of the most interesting things I found was that a lot of people were interested in how to use this for startups who don't have access to a lot of legal assistance yet, but who do want to get started. And it seems to me, from what I've heard, that this could be a very big niche for all the asset exchange-like things that are out there, for which Next is at this moment one of the easiest to use. So that, I think we'll see in the coming months, we'll see that being developed much more, startups.
You also mentioned when we were talking in private, you mentioned that there was a lot of interest in the Next platform as a platform itself and not just as a coin, like because like when people come into Bitcoin, the new users, the first thing is they think it's just a currency, even though it's more than just a currency. Yeah. But somehow or another, the Next platform has always been represented as an entire platform and a network, a financial infrastructure. It's not just, it hasn't never been viewed as just a coin or a currency only. Could you talk about that and how that was that interaction that you had with the people that attended the conference?
Well, basically, it was something that people grasped immediately. The first day on Friday, we had a few banks talking with us, and these, like Data said, these were research people, just figuring out what's happening out there. And when you explained this to them, they immediately started brainstorming with us, basically, like, okay, how can we use this? Okay, maybe it's interested for not yet registered companies because they don't have a lot of fuss about regulation yet. So they are definitely interested in that part. There is a view that it's sometimes very difficult to work with money at the start, and they are looking for opportunities for the customers to try other avenues. People picked up on the whole next level thing. That's how we explained it a lot of times. So you have Bitcoin, everybody knew about that, and then we just said, like, okay, now imagine the next level, that you can do anything financial or tradable in this way. And they picked up on that immediately, on the speed of of transactions. It piqued people's interest and fired their imaginations. Let's just look at that. And from all, I stress, from all angles. So also officials, people, the merchants themselves, people, startups, everyone.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I have about the conference. Does anyone else on the Google Hangout panel have any questions for Bas or for Data about the Amsterdam conference?
Yeah, I have well, not a question, but really just something to emphasize is that what attracted me to Next was the ecosystem. And it's not just a coin, it's complete the level, as Bas was saying, but it's an ecosystem whereby everything can be introduced and developed, and that, I think, is one of the best USPs that really divide or separates the perception of what Next is, and that really is turning a lot of heads in the next direction, for sure.
We have a question from Guy Brandon on the YouTube live stream for you guys. I think it's for Bas and for Data. Is that he asks, what is the single most critical thing that needs to be done to advance the Next adoption, or to promote Next, or to get people to adopt Next, based on what y'all's experiences at the conference? Well, what is the single most critical thing that people can do, like the people that are in the Next community right now, or anyone that wants to promote Next? What would you suggest it would be?
One of the things that we should not do, this was very clear to me at the whole conference, also because what we should not do is bash other coins. This, the one thing that was really nice to see, and also very, I think very nice for our technical people. We, for instance, they got on really well with the Ripple Labs people, because we're on the same mission. And this was something I felt all over the conference. We're on the same mission here. It's, if we start infighting now, we all lose. So from a perspective that normal users can do, is that we're all in this together. The most critical thing that we should do as a platform probably is try to get all these fiat things and merchant tools in place as soon as possible.
Yeah, because I believe that's very critical, because when people can spend their Next and buy physical goods and use it to pay for products and services, I think that will be the biggest booster for the Next platform in the ecosystem.
Yeah, and also we would stand on our own feet at that moment.
Okay.
Instead of being bootstrapped to Bitcoin, which we still are.
Okay. You mentioned something that's very I thought was very important about Patrick Byrne and as the CEO of Overstock.com, and I know that David is in the background, and he's also making efforts to establish a connection with Overstock. do you want us to update us with any of your progress or what you're working with, David? I'll give him a chance to unmute his microphone here. So those are good questions right there, Brandon, on the YouTube live stream. Excuse me. Okay, whenever you get back with us, David, just let us know. That way we'll give you a chance to update us on your efforts in the overstock.com. All right. I'd also like to welcome Ian. Is that Ian or is that Ian?
That's Ian.
Okay. How's it going, Ian? And what is your display name in the forums so that people recognize you?
Chancellor in the forums.
Okay. So you were one of the individuals at the one of the key players at the Amsterdam conference.
Yeah.
And so thank you for you and like I said, you know, there's a lot of thanks from myself and the community for you and Bass and Data to represent the next community there. Could you share your thoughts and input on what you experienced there and how you see next moving forward after this conference? Okay.
The first thing I'd say is we had a really good team ethic at the conference that I think is quite important. I don't know if this has already been covered, but we all handed off people to each other. We made sure whoever came into the booth got to talk to the person who could address their needs. So if it was someone from the media or a business side that came to me, I'd pass them on to Baz. And similarly, if Baz got someone technical, he'd pass them on to me or Laurie. I think that was really important. I think Baz has already made the point about respect. If someone from another initiative, another business, another coin comes to your booth and is genuinely interested, then I think if you show them respect, they show you respect. And I think we gave and we got a lot of mutual respect at the conference as a result of that. In terms of key things that came up for me, there were a lot of people exploring. So what we got across was kind of the four key things that Next does as a platform. You know, so there's the coin, there's the information in terms of the data that you can pass, there's the asset exchange, and there's the namespace in terms of the aliases. People got that it was an open Java platform. People got that it was a JavaScript client that they could open up and use for their own ends, not cloning Next, but actually building on top of it in a very easy way. People who want to do loyalty cards go away, Hal. People who want to do health service records on the blockchain, all kinds of interesting propositions came up. I think one of the other things for me is people want to put things of very small value on the asset exchange, potentially, not just you know, company shares and stuff like that. And we need to be careful that the transaction fees don't get in the way of that. I think is one of the key things that came for me. And the other one, and I've pushed it on the forum since I got back, and I know Data is picking it up, is there's a whole world of what I call, you know, altcoin legacy out there. And what I would really like to see us build a bridge to that, because that makes it easy for them to come to us and start pushing us through their channels. Yeah?
Could you elaborate on that? I'm not clear.
So people have got software systems now that are just based on existing Bitcoin protocols for integration, which is why we have problems with exchange and stuff like that. If you look at Next, it's not that different, but it's just different enough to make it difficult. I think we can build an adapter, like going from a UK plug to a European plug. So in the short term, they can use that adapter, and then in the future, let's say they have a successful business with Next, they can rewire and use us natively. But at the moment, we're saying rewire, and they're going, well, that costs us money. Why should we do that? Okay.
Okay, and so how do you propose that be resolved? Should they use the adapter or go natively?
I'm proposing in the short term they use an adapter, so they run NRS, they'll run Data's adapter, and to them Next will look like an altcoin.
Okay.
If we can achieve that, I think it makes it much easier for them to test and try things out.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, Nick Kramer on the YouTube live stream, he has a question for you. He asked if what feature of the Next platform seemed to get the most attention at the conference.
Everybody loved the client as a whole. I think I would say the biggest feature is its responsiveness compared to existing 1.0 type blockchain platforms which are using a slower block speed. People could see the overall responsiveness of the platform, and I think they like, the 1 minute is fast enough at the moment. And there was a lot of discussion around using the asset exchange for different things. They couldn't believe that they could issue an asset for $30 and then do what they wanted with it.
That seems to be a very recurring feedback that I've noticed that I'm getting from you, from Data, and from Bass, is that the user interface or the Wesley client is very easy to use. That seems to be like a recurring theme there that I keep hearing over and over. So I'm glad to hear that, because I hate to say it, but some of the clients that I've used with other altcoins are not so easy and not so intuitive.
Yeah, and the other question that kept coming up was, how do you monetize this? What's your organization? What's the company behind this? And it was quite an interesting conversation. It's like there's no company, and actually we benefit if you actually come and use the platform and you drive transactions through the platform. And they got the message that that's why what we built, or what our devs have built, to be honest, was very much an open framework, which was open and easy for them to integrate with.
And I think that's still something that is still a challenge for a lot of people to grasp, is why a group of people from around the world would just build this free financial platform for everyone to use. When they're sitting there paying 3% to credit card merchants, they're paying nearly 10% or more to MoneyGram and to Western Union. Why is there this group of people that are just building this free financial platform so everybody can use it for free and adapt it, and they're willing to have guys like Data help them adapt it to their business, so.
The next generation, showing the world how it's done, how we can evolve and work together for the common good of all, and I think that's the most exciting thing. And everybody is so obsessed in a top-down control system that we come along and completely rethink the whole paradigm and work in a very decentralized way, and really thinking as the next generation, showing people really how it can be done and how people can collaborate and work together in a very remote sense, but also come together and produce a great product.
And what would your response be, Chancellor? What would your response, an ideal response to address that issue? That why are you guys building this powerful platform and giving it away for free?
I'm trying to remember now. There were so many conversations. I think the best answer I have is look at Facebook and Google.
Yeah, exactly. They built like when I first learned about Google Maps, I couldn't imagine that someone just built that for free.
We don't make our money off the platform itself. Those of us involved in this make our money in other people coming and joining the community and increasing the overall value in the platform to everybody that's part of it. And ultimately, whether that's through transaction fees, whether that's being involved in businesses and people investing on the asset exchange, whether it's getting involved in projects, in the case of some people doing paid work for other people to integrate, there's a whole set of different ways in terms of how members of the community can make money out of this. But the one thing that this coin is not about is pump and dump. We made that very clear.
Yeah, that was my experience also. That was also some of the concerns I had when I was speaking at the Texas Bitcoin conference in March, was that people, because of the proof of stake mechanism of how the funds, the coins were distributed, there was a concern for that. But once I explained to them what proof of stake was and they understood it, then that was no longer a concern. What else? Do you have anything else to share with us from the conference?
No, I think I've covered the key points. I'll let you get on with the talk, Ty.
Okay. All right. Are you back on online again, David?
Yeah, for now at least.
Okay. All right. I was trying to get you your feedback and your update. I know that you're working in the background with the Overstock deal to help out with that. Is there anything that you can share with us as concrete, or is this too personal, or is not complete yet? You don't have to share it, but what do you have for us?
Yeah, well, so I have been speaking with Overstock for 3 weeks, I think, almost 3 weeks, back and forth between Patrick and Mark. Then all I can say is that they are very interested, but there are some regulations that has to be overcome, and I think that is true for all businesses, at least ones that are based in the United States. So when we figure out how to overcome these regulations, it will help the community immensely, because every single company will face these issues.
Could you elaborate for the people that are not in the legal industry or the legal field? Could you just make it simple and talk about, like, what legal concerns are you talking about here?
Yeah. So in
Okay, I'm not getting any response from you, David. But while I wait for you to get back, I'll just share, from my experiences in the financial industry, is that there's usually legal concerns when you issue shares or you issue any kind of assets or anything like that in the U.S. There are legal issues that you have to address. And is that what you're talking about? Okay. Since there's no connection with David, we'll wait for him to come back and try it again later, or we'll do it next week. All right, now I have a quick update from Mario, who is on the Google Hangout with us. He mentioned in here that the gentleman, the person that's responsible for mynext.info, the online wallet, cannot make it today, and will be here next week to update us on the mynext.info and mynext.org. Okay. And okay, just to wrap it up here, we have Ignacio also. Are you there, Ignacio? Do you have a mic from Mexico? And he's been helping to promote the Next platform in Mexico. Is there anything that you'd like to share with us, Ignacio, or to update us with from Mexico and the Latin countries? Okay, you have no microphone at this moment. All right. Ignacio just posted a video, a YouTube video of the Next platform in Spanish on his show Bit Talk. If you could post that link in the forums, that would be extremely helpful, Ignacio, because I'm unable to post it here in the Google Hangout or on the live YouTube live stream broadcast. Okay. Okay. That's all I have for this week, guys. If any of you guys have any last words, please speak up. If not, then I'll go ahead and end this update for this week.
Okay, I'm just gonna try to speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's hey David, it's breaking up really bad. Like we're catching like every 10 words, every 10th word or so.
I'd just like to say quickly, congratulations to the Next
Okay,
community for having Patrick Bry from Overstock mention Next in his keynote speech. I think that's an amazing accomplishment, and yeah, I'm really happy to be part of this community. Thank you so much.
And I also like to say that some of you guys may not know this, but Mark is a really, really great speaker. If you look at some of his YouTube videos where he talks about gold on stage, he's very, very comfortable being on stage. And I'm just going to make this public request here that we'd love to have you speak about Next on stage for us, Mark, because I think that you're one of the better speakers I've seen so far.
Thank you so much, Ty, and I really would like to do that, but what I'm lacking is organization. So I want to speak on conferences, but I don't get to creating the contacts and preparing it all. But if someone wants to help me out, I'm really wanting to do that. I pay for it myself, and if someone helps me out, get the word out, I also am for bounties and pay rewarding them. So if anybody can get me on stage, I will be very grateful.
Yes, I will definitely work with you offline in private to help you get that. I've managed to get several of my colleagues, one of my colleagues at the Bitcoin conference 2013. I also got another colleague to speak at the at several conferences, including myself at the Texas Bitcoin conference. So I will definitely work with you on that because I think that you have very good stage presentation and your energy and everything is extremely useful and helpful to promote the Next platform. And also, I will get with Bass and David and yourself and others who want to speak about Next. I've mentioned this before that I've been working on a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation to talk about Next at the platforms. So what I will do is please check the Next forums, and once we establish a date, I will set up a public hangout like this on Google Hangout and broadcast on the YouTube live stream and have it so that everybody can join and learn how to deliver this presentation. And I have it set up so that it's kind of like a generic template presentation, and then each speaker will inject his or her personality and her into the presentation, so it's not very mechanical. So this is kind of like a framework on how to deliver the Next platform to the public. Okay, so I will post that in the forums when we establish a date for that Google Hangout. And right now, Bass and I are working on the rough draft of that, and we're finalizing that, and we'll share it with everyone after we're done. And that should be within the next week or two. Right.
I have also one last comment. It's basically also a call to action to people who are working locally. I made a few contacts from Holland on conference who are basically starting to promote cryptocurrency. Of course, first Bitcoin, but they were also interested in other ones at the local level. I know John Mangleviti is also working on this, on reaching out. So if people want to work on a local level, they are very welcome to contact us, because working in your own community has a dynamic all of its own. So we could start working on exploring what we can do at that level.
Okay. All right. So I will go ahead and wrap it up, guys, and end this update. I would like to say thanks for everyone joining us today and sharing your progress and updates with the community. And again, I would like to also thank you guys tremendously for your efforts and your work, Data, Bass, and Ian at the Bitcoin Amsterdam conference. Let's keep that up and let's keep this momentum going, guys. All right. So thank you, and this will conclude the update for today.
Bye, guys.
Great. Thanks, Ty. Thanks.